Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the channel. It's your boy, World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about WWE Smackdown, December 26, 2025 review. This show was bleh. Had some good matches, I will admit that. I did enjoy the Carmelo Hayes and Dragunov match for the United States Championship. That was a standout match. Very fun, enjoyable matchup. For the middle portion of the show, it got, I believe, over 20 minutes worth of time, which I appreciate because it was good action. The Miz was in action against against Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry actually ends up winning this matchup against The Miz in a no-holds-barred match. A 34th Miracle on 34th Street match. And this was a holiday-themed hardcore matchup that was silly, absolutely ridiculous, and stupid as fuck, but Joe Hendry ends up walking away with the victory. Got to see the damn bunny back that we used to see during the rave, with that one wrestler that had a group of people running down the ring with him and acting like they were having a rave party. That was R-Truth in the bunny suit, which was absolutely ridiculous, and he wished everyone a happy Easter when we're in the middle of fucking December. So go figure that one out and let me know. The other matches on this show, we had Julia and Kiana James, I believe is her name, against Abba Fire and Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green ends up losing this matchup on her team, and Julia is the one that gets the pinfall on Chelsea Green. This was absolutely fucking a waste of time. Did not give a flying shit about this. Throughout the night, we saw multiple interactions with Nick Aldis and Cody Rhodes. One of those interactions also included Trick Williams. Trick Williams is basically the storyline for Trick Williams right now is he's negotiating contracts with both Raw and SmackDown. I do like that little concept there. It throws it off a little bit and makes it a little bit different than the normal everyday shit. Instead of putting him in the middle of the ring with nobody names that no one's going to care about, he'll get a W here and there, whatever. He's actually just trying to be a businessman and negotiate the contract with Raw or SmackDown. I think contracts should be the thing for these guys on each brand. They get a contract for a year or two, then they negotiate the contract, and if they decide they want to move forward, they can. If not, they move along to the other brand and try to sign a contract with the other brand. They could also utilize the other brand as a negotiation tactic. That would be another cool idea. That way they don't have to rely on a fucking draft. They can just rely specifically on contract negotiations. And if they can't work things out between the actual manager and the performer, they can move on their separate ways, and the wrestler can go over to the other brand. They could also implement trade clauses where they can't be traded to the other brand. They have to live out their contract until the end, and so on. They could also do trades between the two brands as well. That would be another option. That would have the trade clauses are based on the level of the performer. So if they're like a main eventer or whatnot, or they've won a world championship at some point down the line, then you could also implement the trade clause option in those contracts to appease the performer, to get their interest in staying with the brand itself. So there's a lot of things you could do with the so-called brand split and kind of make it interchangeable in that sense. You can also utilize that in the sense that you don't need to be dependent on a draft and the roster is constantly shifting around. So you could have like one wrestler go to one show 1 month, and like 2 or 3 months later, another wrestler from the other brand shows up in the other brand and actually is established in that brand after their contract was up with the other brand they were part of, so on and so forth. You can develop storylines around the contract issues, like a wrestler's upset with the manager not being able to negotiate his contract the way he sees fit, and seeing that he earns the kind of money he's looking for, creating, controversy and stuff like that. They could also implement like matches as a way of a stimulation, or not a stimulation, a stipulation, a stipulation in that match. If the wrestler who's in the middle of this contract dispute has an issue, they are challenging the manager to a match, and the manager hires the performer they want to face that person for. And if the general GM manages to pick the person that wins that match on his behalf, then at that case, the wrestler can't do nothing about it, either take it or leave it type of situation. So there's a lot of different things you could do with that. That's very creative. That's never been done before. I mean, after a while, it will get a little bit stale, I would say. But, I mean, if you're not doing it so often, I think it could last for a while. But yeah, I would love to see contract negotiation issues, drama like that, how much money the guy is going to be making, how much he feels his value is on the brand, and so forth. I think that would be creative and smart moves. That way they don't have to rely on a fucking draft year round. And not to mention the drafts are an absolute joke, and no one takes it very seriously. I mean, if you want to introduce a draft could involve just NXT wrestlers being drafted to Raw or SmackDown, but you have to have a decent amount of performers to make that even worth anyone's while. So you got to at least have 10 wrestlers from the NXT brand to be able to pass into the Raw and SmackDown brand. At least it gives 5 rounds of picks from the NXT brand to choose from to draft to their brand. So that's the only other way I would see implementing a draft, would be taking the NXT as the college version of pro wrestling and moving those performers in the main roster as the pros. So, I mean, that's a way of doing it, but I don't think WWE is that smart or creative or gives a shit to do anything like that. But that's just my ideas. I don't know what you think. Let me know what you guys think of those ideas in the comments down below if you would like to make a comment towards those comments I just made about the contract disputes and all that kind of good stuff that you see in real sports actually played out on a wrestling show. Just thought that would be kind of cool. Anyway, moving on. Besides Trick Williams and Cody Rhodes' interaction, which was interesting, Cody Rhodes was harping on Drew McIntyre. When is he apologizing to the ref? When is he apologizing? When is he going to pay the fine? When is he going to meet the demands? And this all ended up at the end of the show. This led to Drew McIntyre apologizing, giving the check to Nick Aldis for the fine. And he apologizes to the referee. The referee accepted it and then moved forward into demolishing the referee and shitting all over the ref. This led to Cody Rhodes coming out. Obviously, you'd think Cody Rhodes is smart and realized that Drew McIntyre is just doing this to egg him on and get him all pissed off. And this led to Drew McIntyre wanting and teasing him to hit him just so he can get him stripped of the championship, of course. None of that actually happened. Drew McIntyre then took shots at Cody Rhodes' wife, saying, oh, well, if Cody's wife, Brandy, actually knew what Daddy was like, I was like, whoa, that's going low, man. But, I mean, we've heard that kind of shit before. But, he goes a little further into that, and he also mentions that Cody says, all right, let's get to the fucking point. What's your damn stipulation? What do you want? He goes, I want the WWE Championship, and the stipulation is 3 stages of hell on Smackdown in Berlin, Germany. Very interesting. I don't know when that is. I think they might have made a mistake on when this is happening. They're saying in 2 weeks. So that is January, I believe January 9th, and the Royal Rumble is in the late January. I think it's like, let me see here. WWE Royal. The Royal Rumble is actually taking place January 31st. So, that being the case, if he was to happen to win the championship, he'd only have it for about 2 or 3 weeks. And that's it. That's all. I don't know. I really don't know about that at all. I think they're probably just going to play it safe. They're going to stay with Cody Rhodes, and that'll be that. And that's it. I don't see any point of them taking the title off of Cody just so they can give it back to him at the Royal Rumble. What's the fucking point in that? Just so we can say, oh, we gave Drew McIntyre a token win over Cody Rhodes so he can ultimately give the title back to Cody? I don't like that move. My attitude is you either give Cody the fucking lose the title and have Drew McIntyre as the reigning champion on SmackDown, or have Cody just retain the damn belt and we move on to the next victim of Cody Rhodes' run as WWE champion. That's pretty much that. Then he went ahead and he said, and when I take you to Berlin and I send you to hell, go ahead and say hi to your dad. I was like, what the fuck? And then out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre Claymore kicked Cody Rhodes' head off. He was down and out, and I was like, what the fuck, bro? That's crazy. But that was pretty much the overall gist of SmackDown tonight. There was nothing that happened. Lash Legend had a match with Charlotte Flair, 1-on-1. Sherry had a match with Alexa Bliss, and this one she ends up losing to Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair gets a W. So 50-50 booking for Lash Legend. Good job, WWE. You continue to keep repeating history and repeating the same mistakes like a crazy person and expecting a different result. But yeah, that was pretty much the show in a nutshell. I'm not going to go heavy into this show because outside of the Drew McIntyre segment and getting the 3 stages of hell match, which should be fun and entertaining to watch, I really didn't have any interest in this show at all. It was a very lighthearted show. And the United States Championship match was great. But other than those 2 things, the rest of the show was just flat. Flat as shit. Joe Henry, he was alright. But he was putting a theme Christmas hardcore match with a bunch of clowns on the outside with Otis, Tozawa, fucking R-Truth and so forth, and I'm just like, whatever. Get out of here with this nonsense. Got Joe Hendry involved in this nonsensical bullshit. And TNA was taken more seriously with a little bit of comedy on the side. But most of his work was comedic, or most of his work was actually straight type of work. It wasn't like a joke like their WWE's doing with him right now. I really hope that this is not a continuation of the same shit for Joe Hendry, because Joe Hendry is so much more than just a comedic act. I mean, he plays a comedic act very well. Now, granted, if they ain't finding anything for him to do and putting him in comedic roles until they find something for him is fine to me. But once you leave him in that category, that's where I know they're not going to do shit with him. There ain't no point for me to care. Straight up. But anyway, that was the show in a nutshell. I'm not going to go any further. It's Christmas. It's the day after Christmas. I'm sorry I didn't bring you guys any random wrestling talk this week. It was Christmas Day. I got back from family and I just didn't have the time or the energy. I may go over a couple of articles that I found on my own recently and just go over it with you guys, or I might not. I'm not sure. I'll let you guys know one way or the other. But anyway, at this time, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.